I see some smiles out there. Y'all licking your chops or what? All right. Okay, so thanks everyone for being here today. Really appreciate it. I was able to. Last time we talked, I said I need to watch the film. We were able to do that, and so there are a few takeaways. Offensively, ball security is critically important. The turnover margin is the biggest indicator of winning and losing. And in the present time, we're on the negative side of turnover margin for the season. So that also is reflective of our record. We need to create more explosive plays on offense. We need to sustain drives, and we need to score points. We're really close in the run game. Defensively, our pre-snap alignments need to improve. We need to do a much better job of stopping the run on a consistent basis, and our tackling needs to improve. We need to be tighter in coverage, man and zone. We need to get pressure on the quarterback on all downs. We need to get off the field on third down. And we need to take the ball away. Again, that's turnover margin. So I'm excited about the opportunity. I'm really optimistic and determined is how I feel at the moment. Maryland's a very well-coached team. They have some really good players. They're explosive on offense. They have a really good scheme on defense. Absolutely, we'll be challenged. And so, preparation is the key for us. But I know you have some important questions for me, so we can just get at it.
Mel, that's a long list of things need to be changed to work on. How do you do something like that in short order? Not a long-term fix, but we know Maryland can throw it, and the schedule after that doesn't get any easier.
Yeah, how do you fix it? We have some plans to do that. Exactly the specifics of how we're going to do that, I would care not to share them at this time. But that's what we're doing right now.
Mel, I was wondering.
Go ahead.
All right. So on Saturday, you said you'd kind of been down this road before when you were asked about scheme versus personnel. I was wondering if you could elaborate on that and just where you were at and what you were referring to.
Yeah, we need to make some scheme adjustments, and then we're always evaluating personnel, and we'll do that when necessary. So we'll have to see what that looks like once we get out there.
No, I'm curious, when you go through all those things and you're going through them with the players and you see how the last couple of weeks have gone, where's the, I don't say the mindset, but the mood or the mental approach of this team? Where do you think they are in terms of that? Are they down or any of those sort of things?
I would say determined and optimistic, because we're capable of correcting these things, and the players know it.
You mentioned about the pass rush in particular, and that's been it was a deep area coming in, but that top layer's kind of been hit with some injuries, I guess. How much do you think that's affecting it right now, and how much of it is the development of getting some of those younger guys up to speed to the point where they are comfortable and just replacing?
Yeah, it's a next man up situation, which we've talked about before, and that's just what it is. Injuries are part of the game. From a rush and coverage working together standpoint, we can do a better job in coverage. We get them to hold the ball a little bit longer, and because we're close on some rushes. We've identified some guys that they can win one-on-one, and we have to, from a scheme standpoint, get those guys in one-on-one situations so they can win. And then also, there's times when the coverage is there and the rush isn't there. And so So we have to have rush and coverage working together, coordinated rush, whether it's pressures, blitzes, or four-man rush. And that's going to be important. That's going to be important, especially this week with coordinated pass rush, because as quarterback, if you're not coordinated in your pass rush lanes, he'll pull it down and he'll take off with it, inside and outside. And we've seen that all year with the teams we face. If you're not coordinated in pass rush, the quarterback will pull it down and he'll take off running.
Mel, right here, it's been tough sledding with the run game the last couple of weeks. I think you mentioned it off the top. I think you said they were close. Just what are you seeing there? What fixes sort of have to happen? And are you confident that those fixes are, available or possible?
Yeah, we have room to run. In instances, we got to make sure we hit the hole. And then we need more push and more strain on the line, more movement, and then also with the tight ends and receivers, continue to strain, because it takes the line and the tight ends, the receivers and the backs, and making sure we're getting in and out of the right plays. Then score differential is a part of it as well. We get down big early, and then becomes a score situation, and it becomes a race against time, and running the ball is really, really limited options there because of the time in the game and the score differential. You can see in the last couple games, especially like in the second half, we were able to get the run game going, but we don't score, and then the score differential gets so large, and then the running game is pretty much, it becomes a 2-minute situation for the rest of the game.
Mel, how do you get a defense to have a swagger? Like a year ago, even when they were giving up yards, it seemed like there was a little something to them, an edge to them, and I'm wondering how you get guys to feel a certain way about themselves like that.
We just coach it into them, and then gaining confidence in practice, by doing it fast in practice, and making plays on a consistent basis in practice. Swagger is I'm not sure exactly what the definition of that is, but I would think that it's playing with confidence because of demonstrated ability, in practice, and then starting fast in games.
Mel, you've talked often, including Saturday, about blocking out the noise. How tough is that to do this week, and what's your responsibility as a leader to kind of circle the wagons? Because around here, with the success you've had, when you lose 2 games in a row, everyone thinks the world's ending, the sink is shipping, the season's over. How do you keep that from filtering in, and what is your responsibility this week to, as I said, circle the wagons?
For me, it's not difficult to block out the noise. I think it's more difficult for the players. Just because of experience. So we talk about it. We talked about it immediately after the game in the locker room, and then we talked about it again today, and we'll continue to talk about that. But it's important now what exactly we say, how to do that, and I'll just have to keep that in-house.
Now, I'm going to ask a little bit about Peyton. Obviously you have a lot of issues going on right now, but he struggled a little bit last week. Do you think there's times when he sees maybe the running game's not going, or not sustaining drives? Does he start putting pressure on himself and maybe try and do too much at times? Or I guess I'm just trying to figure out where he's at in terms of that, because he seems frustrated at times out there.
Yeah, I think that he's a high-level competitor, that wants to do things right and wants to execute and wants to win. And so we have to play. He has to do a better job in some areas. In some situations in the game, we have to play better around him, offense, defense, and special teams. But I'm very determined, to help this team get better, and I know that he is as well.
Mel, you mentioned that their personnel in Maryland on offense. So I think we know their quarterback. We know they got some good receivers that have been there a little bit. Like scheme-wise, plan-wise, what sort of stuff do they do that allow those guys to be successful attacking defenses through the air? What are some things that you're noticing that just they do really well?
Yeah, so Locks is a great football mind. He's an excellent coach. He's an excellent leader, but he's very creative on offense. and he knows how to get the ball to his playmakers. And he also believes in running the football as well. So, and he's really good at, game plan schemes. There's things that they do every week, but they're always going to have something game specific to attack a perceived weakness, and so he does a really good job with that. Yeah, really, Locks is one of the best.
Do you guys cross over at Alabama at all there? Work together?
No, we haven't worked together, but I know him very well. He's I consider him a friend.
When you look at Berger and Broussard, you started Broussard, and wonder behind the genesis behind him over Berger at the outset, and what do those two need to do differently, or is it more on the line to kind of free them up a little bit better?
Yeah, well, Berger was banged up coming out of the previous game, and so it took us a little while to get him ready for the game, during the week. But like I said, hit the hole, run hard, protect the football, and then we got to do a better job around him, so we can have room in the run game.
You mentioned starting fast back here, Mel, the cameras. You
Yes.
mentioned starting fast. Can that start with something as simple as maybe receiving the kickoff to start the game if given the chance?
Yeah, I mean, like a kickoff return is like the first play of offense. Like a kickoff coverage is the first play of defense, so absolutely.
And then last week we were talking about you changing stuff by watching a continuous copy of the film. Have you done anything like that this week or changed anything up leading up to Maryland?
Yeah, we're going doing some things differently to change the stimulus, in the meetings and in practice, but we didn't watch the continuous copy this morning. That's a sometime thing, not every time thing.
Mel, in the stats era, Michigan State's never started the first 4 games without an interception. How much of that is the defensive backs aren't close enough to get one, or are there other factors that we're not seeing?
Yeah, all of the above, all of the above. But, and the past is not necessarily predictive of the future, unless you don't change the behavior. So we need to change the behavior to get a better result.
And that was 2 weeks in a row with only 6 plays in the first quarter. How much do you think that had to do with your defense not being able to get stops because they didn't get off the field, didn't have an opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, well, like I said, third down, you get a team to third down, you got to get off the field. And we got them to third down, but then we didn't get off the field, and then they sustained drives, they eat the clock, they ultimately end up scoring. Your offense is sitting on the bench, and then when we get the ball to the offense, when they do have an opportunity, then we have to sustain drives, convert, drive the ball and score. But yeah, the job of the defense is to get the ball back to the offense, as quickly as possible, as much as possible, and score or set up a score. And so we're not doing that. We haven't done that.
As a coach, what's the challenge of attacking that list of improvements that you started with, but also trying to focus on your guys and making sure they're mentally, they're there? You said they're determined, but those are 2 separate areas that obviously fall under you.
Yeah, it's a all hands on deck 24/7 challenge. So that's what we do as coaches. It's a little bit, it's a lot easier to coach guys when everything's going well. But when adversity hits, that's when really where the rubber meets the road. And so I have a lot of confidence in our staff, and also our players. It's about how you respond to adversity, and I'm determined and optimistic because of the response that I'm seeing from our staff and from the players.
Mel, you just kind of hinted at it, but what is your confidence level with the staff right now?
High.
Mel, you talked before the season about having guys in different categories as the season broke, like guys who weren't ready, guys who were ready, guys who you'd have a plan for who might be ready down the road. As you get into the season, do you reassess that with some of the youngest guys and see where different guys might be?
Yeah, we do that daily. Yep. And so if you see a guy on the field that maybe you didn't see out there the previous weeks, that may be a reflection of that evaluation.
Hey, Mel, coming into this season, you talked a lot about this whole transformation of the program from being a coach-led team to a player-led team. So, during these last couple of difficult weeks, what have you seen from this? Has it been a player-led team, or has it been the coaches having to kind of pick them up?
Yeah, I mean, it's, I see the players really stepping up, and I mean, I'm seeing that happen, which is important. And so we always need more of it, but I don't feel like it's the coaches dragging the players through it, which gives me optimism.
Would you be able to provide an example, maybe, of one of these that you've seen with the players, or is that an in-house thing?
Yeah, I mean, like, we have a defensive player that, had all the defensive players in on their day off yesterday. Watching the game all together, going over every play, going over the calls of communication, the assignments, things like that. That was something that was not directed by the coach, by the coaches. The same thing happens on offense as well, yeah.
Obviously, Xavier hasn't been able to play the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I think there was a period of time, I don't remember, second half maybe, where we saw him out on the field talking with the guys. I guess what has his level of involvement been, even when he's not able to contribute on the field?
Yeah, he's able to get more involved now because he's more mobile. He was on crutches there for a minute, so he had to keep a distance just from a safety standpoint. But now he's more mobile, and he can get a little bit closer to the action. And that's what you're seeing. All right, thank you. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for your questions, and we'll see you in Maryland. Go Green.